Question from James Crapia from the Oregonian.
Andy, obviously a very talented receiving core and a short week to prepare for them. What does it mean to have a little bit of replenished depth to go about that? And how do you go about trying to contain such a deep receiving core?
There's no question. Very talented inside, outside, a lot of length, speed. And so obviously it comes down to playing with great technique, being able to know where our help is, be able to adjust and move around pre-snap. Obviously the game is they're very talented at the wide receiver group. The game always starts regardless is up front, so we've got to do a great job up front, handling the run game and some of the different things that they're doing this year opposed to what they did last year.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, it's talking about the USC passing game. Not only do they have a lot of great wide receivers, but also they like to go deep a lot. They're averaging like 7 deep shots over 20 yards per game. So how do you keep them underneath you and then also contain all that underneath stuff? Kind of a tough combination.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's got to be a good balance, of how you're playing on the perimeter, how you're playing inside. The types of coverages you're playing, there's got to be a balance, and they're talented in terms of inefficient going deep, like you said, and obviously the underneath pass game, their efficiency is pretty high as well. So it's got to be a balance of what we're doing on defense.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Andy, you guys were preparing for Colorado originally, who's a vastly different team than USC. I guess just were you preparing for both, and how were you handling the uncertainty of who you were preparing for? Because they're totally different teams.
Yes, no question, Matt. We through the course of last week, we were starting to work on both, and obviously we were focused on Colorado, and we were going, full speed ahead on that. But behind the scenes, there were some late hours work, obviously, to do some prep in the event that this situation arose, and here we are now. And the coaches did a tremendous job yesterday transitioning and getting ourselves ready to practice last night. And the players did an unbelievable job handling the situation. It's been, throw it in line with everything else this year. There's challenges that pop up, and it's all about how you respond, how you direct your emotions and your focus. And the guys did an unbelievable job of that last night. Obviously the coach is putting it together, and so we got to continue on with that.
Ryan Thorburn, Register Guard.
Andy, how would you describe the range of emotions for your players from having their rivalry game with Washington canceled to getting ready for Colorado, and then the opportunity all of a sudden to play for the Pac-12 championship? Yeah,
we've been through a few game plans here in the last week that we didn't get to use, and I think they were very excited when this opportunity arose. I know they were very excited. You can see the urgency in them, and again how they responded and yesterday and transitioning and coming back. The way they worked last night was pretty impressive. The attention to detail, and so that's got to continue on.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Andy, you guys did a good job last year against Kedon Slovis. I think the most interceptions he's thrown to date. Where have you seen the most growth since then? Obviously, this year has been really, really solid for them.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, as the games go on, he gets really comfortable in the games. Obviously, they've had some come from behind wins or some last quarter wins there. And so as the games go on and he sees what defenses are doing, he's able to adjust and adapt, and obviously the coaching staff as well. And so you can see the growth there. That tells us that he is, he feels much more comfortable with the offense, how to operate it based off of what defenses are giving him.
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
With signing day tomorrow, I know you can't talk about the prospects, but what has the year been like for you guys having to recruit in this unprecedented year and just as a staff working through the process?
Unique, that you got to find different ways. You got to adapt, you got to adjust. And, we're extremely excited about the class that we are putting together and the young men that will be joining this program shortly. It's quite frankly been a long process, being that we've had to do it in unique ways. But, as always, the days are long, the weeks are long, but next thing you know, you start stacking up months, and here we are on the eve of signing day. And so we're extremely excited about these families, these young men that will be joining Oregon.
James.
We talk about the receiving core or their penchant for explosiveness, Andy. you guys, each of the last 2 years, have kept the lid on the coverage really well. And even this year without a Javon or a Thomas or Brady. Who has been most key to that success this season for you guys, where you're keeping the lid on the coverage again really, really well?
Well, you know, we want to make offenses earn it and go down the field. And obviously that starts with understanding where our help is. And on the outside, you know, the corners understanding where their help is, what type of leverage they have. Obviously, you know, a guy in the middle of the field that has done a tremendous job is Verone. Verone has been unbelievable for us this year, and obviously we'll need him to continue to be so. And not only in terms of his play, but his leadership and how he handles the pre-snap, how he operates as a quarterback back there.
Warren Williamson, Oregon Football News.
Andy, you mentioned the comebacks that that USC has done this year. I think they've come back in each of their 5 games. Teams just haven't been able to put them away in the fourth quarter. I'm sure that's been kind of a mention point in your meetings. What do you do, I guess, late in those games to stop those comebacks?
Well, you know what? I mean, that's kind of been ironic for, you know, we've been in a lot of those situations as well. And it's kind of come down to this year. And we've spoken about it as a program. Everybody's on a pretty level playing field in terms of everything that everybody's got to go through. Everyone has all the same issues that everyone's dealing with, whether it be the amount of players, the practice time, the adjustments to how you practice and all those things. So it comes down to really, you know, how you focus through the course of the week, how you focus through the course of a game, and how you're able to finish, more importantly. And we've done that at times, and we've obviously not have done that at times. And so how we create a plan to finish and how we execute that plan, not just obviously during the course of the week, is the most important part. Each practice day, it's important that we have a focus on our finish and how we finish practice. And as we always say, what we do in practice will lead into the games.
Eric.
Andy, along those lines, you guys have now had kind of an extended time between game to game, an extra week. Have you seen the progress you were looking at? I know you mentioned before with tackling and some of those fundamentals. Have you seen that progress?
We hope that, you know, we're going to continue on with it, Eric. Like we said, we saw the progress in the last game we played, and the last 2 weeks have been our best 2 weeks of practice by far this year. And that's the exciting part. You know, obviously things have not gone well. We haven't met our goal in the last couple of weeks, or excuse me, the last 2 outings, but the way the guys have responded in practice and their attention to detail has gone through the roof. Their care factor on the things that we need to improve on, we can't ask for anything more than what they've done at practice in terms of, again, their attention to detail in those areas.
James.
We talked earlier in the season about the dime package, Andy, and I know you've employed it still here and there, but this is obviously such a different offense compared to even Cal or Oregon State and schematically. How much of the implementation of that this offseason wasn't just to address the weakness of last year, but for this kind of offense, for an air raid style against a very deep receiving core where you need more defensive backs on the field in base, let alone in 3rd and long?
Yeah, there's no question. You know, the challenges of running it this year obviously is the availability to players, you know, and who's healthy and things like that. So that continues, you know, to be a work in progress in that way. But we're, you know, the things that we've been able to implement and do out of that package this year, you know, we're excited about. And obviously, you know, given the right circumstances and being able to grow forward in that package is a big to-do for us. Max
Torres, Hoop Duck.
Andy, we talked about signing day obviously coming up here tomorrow. You guys go up against USC quite a bit in that regard. But, you know, Oregon and USC have kind of developed into the premier programs in the Pac-12. What does this matchup kind of carry for you?
Well, you know, they've got a lot of tradition, obviously. And recruiting-wise on the field, I mean, up and down the Pac-12, we all battle, whether it be in recruiting, whether it be on the field. So as always, it's a tremendous opportunity, number one, to have the chance to be in this game and to be able to compete, you know, for the Pac-12 championship. And then obviously, as we've spoken about, with it being the eve of signing day, you know, there presents a lot of challenges, and, you know, although it is a very exciting time as well, you know, and so for us and for me, you know, for the players and for this program, it's an exciting time.
Thank you, Coach Avalos. That's all we have for you today.
Thank you, guys.